Today we have for you a good one. This is from 2004. This is Michael Mann's thriller. I'm going to call it a thriller. Collateral, starring Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx, Jada Pinkett Smith as well. Mm-hmm. A good performance from her as well. So Alec, kick us off, man, on this, what I think is a pretty worthy follow-up in the world of Heat in featuring Los Angeles.
Absolutely. So obviously it's no secret that Michael Mann, I love his movies. Heat is my favorite movie of all time. Still is. It's been that way. Hasn't even really moved the needle much at all. This is my second favorite Michael Mann film. And I know that's sacrilege to all the people who talk about, Last of the Mohicans or all the other stuff that he's done, because he's done a lot of great things. But for me, I absolutely love this movie. It is not in my top 10 just because obviously I have Heat, but there's so much about it that I understand why maybe someday it could be. And so I just rewatched this, even though I didn't need to. It was one of those, like, I've seen this enough times. I sat down, watched it, loved every moment of it. This is by far my favorite Tom Cruise film as well. Like, this is my favorite role he's ever played. I know it's not the only time he's played a villain. It's like the third time he's played a villain. But this is my favorite portrayal of what he's done. It really showed me some kind of the stretch of his acting, of being able to play against his normal type of the hero situation. It's also got fantastic gunplay, which is typical to a Michael Mann film. And I think the story is absolutely brilliant. It feels semi-original. It feels original. It feels like it hadn't been done before. I don't think it's ever really been kind of matched again with this. It's really just a very tight movie about really two guys kind of dealing with this situation for the majority of the movie. And I don't know, it did so well. I mean, the budget was $65 million and box office was $220 million worldwide. So people resonated with this film. And I know it even did better on DVD and Blu-ray. So I've bought both the DVD and the Blu-ray for it. So I'm a sucker, you could say, for this movie.
I think it's worth owning on Blu-ray. Mm-hmm.
Though,
for sure.
Though I will say, so this is, and this is something we'll get into, but I know this was the first movie that Michael Mann did digital, shot a lot on digital, if I remember correctly. But not all of it. Some of it, there is some film, because he switched to digital, and he didn't do what was happening in digital movies. He wasn't trying to mimic film. He specifically picked digital because he wanted to shoot at night, and digital's better at low light. And so like Fever, when they go to the club, at least that's what the article was talking about, was saying
I know what you're saying. There's a caveat there, but go ahead.
But then apparently like Fever, that the club is when they shot film. And then a couple other scenes, they shot film instead of digital. But so there you go. I'll let you talk.
No, it's excellent. And there is a gap between this and Heat. Mm-hmm. But watching it again very recently within the last few weeks, the gap is not like as wide as you think it would be. Like, it's aged really rather well. Mm-hmm. And one of my big gripes with it when I first saw it was the decision to shoot high portions of it with the Sony F900 and the Thompson Viper film stream camera along with film. I didn't agree with it at the time. I was thinking back to Heat, and I was like, why wouldn't you just shoot this entire project in 35? And as far as the image goes, I still feel that way. But as far as the feel of it and almost a hyper realism at times, I see what he was doing. Mm-hmm. And so when you said that it's better at low light, that's not really true. These cameras really weren't better in low light than shooting film. But what you get this really quick roll off in the shadows and on film where it goes to nothing. Like when you shoot 35, if the light isn't there to expose the negative, you just get black, like inky, dark black shadows. And they're clean. There's no noise in them. The problem with that is when you shoot digital, it's noisy, but you get that light pollution haze that you get in the LA night sky. And if you'd have shot in 35, you wouldn't have been able to see it. It would have just gone to black.
Dark.
You would have had black skies.
Which is not LA.
No, it's not. So even those early HD cameras, the Cine Alta, which is a Sony product, and then the Thompson Viper, they do at times have a tendency to see things more like you and I see them. The problem is the noise. Like especially the Thompson Viper is extremely noisy. I've actually color graded Thompson Viper film stream footage. There was a 30-minute musical short film really that was super successful on the festival circuit that I graded, and it was shot on Thompson Viper. Super noisy image that we had to do noise reduction on, and then it had this green tint to it that we had to pull out of it, and I'm sure they had to deal with the same thing with this. The Sony, the F900 was a much better early digital camera than I think the Thompson. And Filmstream or Thompson's still around, but they don't make cameras anymore. They made this. It was like a really pretty incredible camera system, and then they were just like, nah. We're not going to go down that route anymore. So
we're done.
You're right in that it will attempt to grab more of what's there, even if it's warts and all.
Yeah.
There was stuff shot digitally up in the office building during the pinnacle of the film, that I think benefited from hyperrealism. You feel like you're really in there with Jada, and this guy's gonna stalk her and trying to come in and kill her. And it would have lost a little bit of something, I think, if those scenes were shot with film. So I think it works. I think it works. And now I don't think it works in Public Enemies.
No,
I don't like it in a period piece. And maybe that's my problem with it. Like, I don't agree with shooting period pieces with those early digital cinema cameras. Now it wouldn't matter. Now they would have shot it with the Arri Alexa.
Yeah.
You'd have shot Public Enemies with Arri Alexa. The Alexa looks almost like 35. It's very hard to tell. So no, this thing is like, you're back to the story. Like, you're right. It feels like a very original story. It has amazing twists and turns. The best of them is when he throws his case out over the 405, I think, or what? Well, it's probably not the 405. It's probably the
105, maybe,
or the 110, or I don't know. I forgotten all the thoroughfares, but
you used the definite article before that, so you're still have some street cred.
Yeah, go to the 110 to the 105 to the 405 to the 5. Yeah, I love those scenes where he's like, he kind of bets her, you know, that his route's faster and stuff like that. It's really,
it takes the pulpit. I'm going to go, north here, and then I'm going to go across Slauson and all that.
Yeah. In some ways, this film feels more LA than Heat does. Having lived out there, I feel like, now obviously there's a decent time jump. There's almost 10 years difference, but
and we're obviously closer to the LA of Collateral than we were of Heat.
Right. I think Collateral feels more like the Los Angeles that I was familiar with than Heat does. But
fun fact, the script originally had it in New York and not Los Angeles. And it went through several different directors who had kind of signed on or passed on it. And when it finally got to Michael Mann, one of his big changes was, we're going to shoot it in LA. This is going to happen in LA because, well, Mann has a love affair with LA, especially at night. And guess what? This movie mostly happens at night. So it's perfect.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. Los Angeles is the most incredible city I've ever seen at night.
Mm-hmm.
Fly, especially when we lived there, and I would fly back home or back to my folks in Kansas, and then it was always a late night flight getting back into Los Angeles. So I always flew back in at night, and there's nothing like the sprawl, and then seeing downtown, and it's just,
you get up into the Hollywood Hills and just kind of see just all the neighborhoods and lit up and the streets, and just, it was gorgeous.
There was a time when Preston, when I was, I think it was before you moved out there, I was rooming with Preston, and he was working a reality TV gig. They were following some rapper around, and they were renting a house in the Hollywood Hills. And he was the only one that was he was staying there overnight, just kind of to keep an eye on the property. And he invited me over to hang out. And the view from the hills overlooking LA proper, is second to none. Yeah. And then driving back over the 405 back into the valley where we lived at night, same deal, just the sprawl and the lights. During the day, a little different opinion, little different opinion during the day, but at night the place is utterly fantastic, especially on film. Like it works. It works.
So there is also, going back, there's a slight nod to Heat. Well, there's many nods to Heat, but there's one big nod to Heat is Tom Cruise's suit is very reminiscent of Neil's in Heat, of the gray suit with the white shirt but no tie. And obviously he starts off with a tie but then loses it pretty quickly. And then he's essentially in a much better fitting suit than De Niro's suit in Heat.
I always forget about the opening of this movie that Statham is the one doing the handoff with the briefcase. I always forget. And it's always a pleasant surprise. I'm like, oh,
it's a great cameo.
Yeah, it is. It is. But
and apparently in Mann's mind, it's his character from like the transporter or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like it's like in universe with that. So
that's funny.
But
go
ahead. Go
no, I want to get into some of the more of the story beats and stuff, but I love a lot of aspects of the film, but I really like the philosophical debate between Cruise and Foxx when it comes to like fate and human connection or the lack thereof. You have two completely like conflicting worldviews, but yet you have an antagonist and a protagonist that are like ultimately fairly willing to learn from each other. Although I would say the protagonist is more willing to like take lessons from Vincent than the other way around. But a lot of that is because he gets the better of him too. But
Max has to get put into situations where he's got to be completely different person to react and to live through. So
he's forced out of his comfort zone, but like those scenes where Vincent just reads him immediately, it was just like, oh, I've got some stuff going. Well, how long have you been driving a cab? 12 years or something like that. It's like, you're not going to do anything.
And supposedly you can kind of tell that Tom Cruise or like Vincent is kind of being not aggressive, but not exactly being nice and kind of pushing some of
for sure
the buttons, but he's testing out the waters to see like, hey, how pliant is this taxi driver? He's going to do what I'm going to say. And that allows him, when he makes that, illegal offer to hire the taxi, he knows if he pushes hard enough or whatever that that Max is going to fold, right? Yep. Because that's what he's already done that. So I like just the little nods of Tom Cruise's character as Vincent, of just how smart he is, how thorough he is, how comfortable he is with what he's doing. He's just kind of in and out, done. No, what I'm trying to say, like, no superfluous kind of thinking or movements. It's everything is once he's on this job, once he's done this, it's like this is my goal. Nothing's going to get in my way. I'm going to adapt. I'm going to improvise. I Ching, Darwin,
got to roll with it.
we got to roll with it. So, but
yeah,
again,
yeah. Like I love that line. I'm going to butcher it, but it's like that exchange with Foxx of like, did you know him? And he's like, no. Do I need to get to know people before I kill them? The dialogue's really snappy in this.
Oh my goodness, it's really good.
And even when it gets super intense, the dialogue's incredible. Just when Max is like, if somebody had a gun to your head and they asked you what's going on with this other guy, you wouldn't be able to answer it. Like you wouldn't know. They'd have to kill you because he's refused human connection. His job just doesn't. It's the opposite of it, right? Like,
yeah. Well, he's got to keep himself kind of cold and not think about it. I mean, he's already talked about the fact that he doesn't like LA and all these people, so he's probably got some farm, ranch, or something along those lines. Where
he's right though about LA being disconnected.
Yeah.
Like I remember the first time I told somebody that hadn't lived out there, and they didn't believe me. They're like, "Wait, everybody's living on top of them like each other." I'm like, "Yeah, but." Not really. You have like disconnected apartment complexes. You don't have that many high rises. It's a super sprawl. You have to drive everywhere.
Yep.
And that's the big thing. There's the public transit stinks. And so you're not on the subway with like you are in New York. You don't get that human, and it's not walkable either.
No. And the bus system's not exactly great either.
So there's that's one of the, I'll be honest, LA is like one of the loneliest places I think I've ever lived in my life. Not really for me personally, right? Like we had a very nice, like close-knit group of friends, like a good culture, good people that we hung out with on the regular. But I could easily see if you didn't have that, how lonely that place was going to be. And then the other component is with entertainment being out there is like, everybody's just trying to figure out how they can advance themselves with, if you don't offer anything to advance their career, they're just like, nah, forget you.
Wow. So I remember I went to a couple parties with a friend, and it was, one of those of just like, I mean, it felt right out of, oh my goodness.
Swingers?
Swingers. Yes. Right out of Swingers, where it's basically like I was talking to, someone, and they just kind of keep looking around the room of like, or the first thing is like, so what do you do? And when you're not above them or can help them out in their career, it's like, okay, well, you're not going to waste my time. I'm going to go find somebody else. And so it's all about making those connections to who know and you're worthless. I mean, I always not joked, but this is what I always heard and kind of talked about was that until you're there a year, no one's going to give you the time of day. Like so many people move in and so many people move out within a year that it's like until you last that year, you're not worth it. So because you're probably going to leave, and what's the point in getting to know you? So I can definitely feel that. But
I would say we should mention this. We're recording this while these awful fires are going on. That is not what's going on out there right now.
No.
The whole dynamic has changed. Obviously it's horrible, but
absolutely.
I think you're reading about the looting that's going on, but I guarantee most folks there, it's bringing out the best in them because they're in it together, and they're going to have to figure out how to charge through this. But
we met some great people while we're out there too.
Yeah. I mean, my heart's breaking, dude. Like most of the folks I know are in fairly safe zones, like, centrally located or further away. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, the wind, all the wind has to do is shift and get high again. And it's the whole outlook changes. So, but I figure we should at least mention it since we're recording this, and talking about Los Angeles, but we will get back to Collateral. Man, go
ahead.
Performance in this.
Oh my goodness. Again, this is for me, Tom Cruise just knocks it out of the park. I mean, like, I know he's a movie star. Everyone loves his performances, but for me, this is just absolutely stunning of what he does, of just his ability to play the bad guy, but then be able to get his ideas across enough to make him understandable as a villain, of like why he's doing this and how he can talk himself into seeing himself not as the villain, of like, he's just doing a job. He's killing bad guys, whatever. This is what he does. This is his set of skills. But it's this movie, obviously he goes on to do many more, but it's really this movie for me that shows just how amazing he is at gunplay. Like, Tom Cruise, the way he handles guns, the way he draws his weapon, the way he fires, his stances. I mean, he went through a lot of, I think even like 2 or 3 months of training for this film, with like the LAPD, other stuff. So obviously he had some previous stuff, but I think this was, the article I was reading was talking about, like, this is actually the first movie that he trained with firing live rounds somehow. And so I'm a little confused by that, of how that can happen. But anyways, like, so
I don't know. I mean, we've seen the footage of Keanu Reeves doing live fire exercises in preparation for
the Mitch. Oh no, I'm saying
Wick.
that why is this the first one? Like, why? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
So, but
I don't know.
But he just handles himself so well. Like, is so, like, Michael Mann took the classes with him apparently, and he was just astonished at how athletic and how quickly
he is. Yeah. Cruise is a very, very good athlete.
Yeah,
like
how quickly he picked up everything.
Yeah, I mean, the joke is, like, he's got a very distinctive way he runs, but it's one of the few actors in Hollywood that doesn't look ridiculous running at full speed.
Yeah.
Is Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was actually a pretty gifted athlete in high school and stuff. Like, it shows the way he moves, like, just his movements. And, you've mentioned the Val Kilmer's magazine change and clear on the M16 or probably an AR. Probably an AR-15, I think.
Like
it wasn't an M16. I think it was a AR-15. And he is demoed at military installations and stuff. I've heard that Cruise's takedown, "Hey, yo, homie, is that my briefcase?" has been shown in, like, special forces, like in CQB, because of how fast, like, it is legit fast.
Yeah, his tactical draw is
quick.
It's really quick. And so they show that a lot, of just how quickly you can kind of push the gun, make sure you get the shot off really quick.
That scene's incredible.
Yeah.
And then the nightclub is just,
it's one of my favorite gun battles of all time in moviedom. I mean, especially the nightclub. Well, especially when, like, he's on the ground and he like, he's about to get shot and he rolls over to get the gun and he comes back and he's shooting between his
which is a very may I say, I'm not a gun expert. I've shot some. It's a very stable platform to be shooting from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The way he's laying on his back like that, like, you're able to control the recoil quite a bit that way. That scene's
low
badass.
profile shot. Yeah. And also, I mean, he does the whole, like, double tap to the chest, single tap to the head. Just insanely well. Like, I mean, the character, obviously not Tom Cruise, but, like, the character Vincent is just, it's fun. Like, that's what he does. Like, he's practiced so much. It's all muscle memory of doing these movements. And Cruise does a fantastic job of getting that across. I mean, again, just like when the body falls on the taxi and Max is starting to kind of move away and they're having a conversation, how quickly Tom Cruise is able to pull that gun. Just his stance just kind of shows. It's just
red light, Max. Red light.
Yeah. It just the stance itself, even without the gun, just feels threatening. And obviously the gun elevates it, but it's just it feels like Cruise has bundled up this kind of ball of violence that he just kind of lets.
He's very twitchy.
Yeah,
like, you can tell he's a very twitchy athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
man,
Fanning didn't stand a chance.
No. Yeah, that's and that's really
always so shocking, that turn of events. Like, he's got him out of. They're clear. They're out of the. No.
I love that bold choice because you don't see it coming. Like I did not see it coming. And still every time I watch it, like, I mean, obviously I know it's going to happen, but it feels like this is not what a normal movie would do. Like, this is very kind of like, oh, wow, they just changed the script.
Yeah.
Pretty hard. And I like that they made these bold choices. I like that they have it. And it feels believable. Like, one, I'm sure Vincent going into Fever knows all the exits, knows how to get out fast, knows how to get through a crowd. I mean, like, the whole purpose of this character is to not to be recognized and not to be seen. Of like, after he shoots Peter Lim, he just kind of puts the gun back in his holster and just walks out, just, strides out, doesn't even look around, doesn't do anything.
No.
Just, this is my thing. I'm going to get out of here. So this movie is just absolutely fantastic. There's so many good dialogue bits. There's so many good scenes. And we haven't even talked about my favorite. Well, my favorite dialogue scene. We will. But before we do that, I want to talk about the music because Michael Mann does it again. I don't know what it is, but so it's different, but I put him on the same level as Tarantino in music choices and in a different way. Cause Tarantino's like, picks great music that is like unheard of, or, like a lot of 70s stuff, things that people really don't really know. Whereas I feel like Mann picks music that's in the current culture or is more well known, but the way he layers it in and adds it in is so poignant and so well worth it. Like, I remember watching this film and I didn't really listen to the Roots, but then I heard C 2.0 when he's driving the taxi early on, and I was like, oh, I really like that. And that got me into listening to the Roots, right? Yeah. It's this movie that got me to really enjoy the Roots. And then, of course, have to say it, but I absolutely love him throwing Audio Slave into this movie, and it's perfect. It fits so well. Chris Cornell's voice is absolutely amazing. And it's perfect in this film. And it's just, it's those choices of why I put Michael Mann up as a brilliant at picking music as, say, Tarantino.
I've always liked Mann's aesthetic for music, even with the stuff that he has scored for his films. A lot of it's airs more on the ambient and like ethereal end of, and that's actually my aesthetic preference with movies. Now, stuff like Last of the Mohicans, that's a little different. That's more of a classical score, but it's incredible. This one's a nice blend of, like you said, music of the times with like a sort of a hybrid score. And it works really well. Like, I can't even really place it. It 20 years later, it doesn't feel dated.
No, not at all.
Now there are some moments in the earlier part where he's just kind of setting up Max's routine of driving cab with the music changes that feels a little Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I can see that.
But not in a not in a bad way, but just like, oh, we're here this time of day, this part of LA, this is playing. He's obviously in East LA, he's getting gas. Yeah. One song's playing, he's in a different part, something else is playing. I was like, yeah, that totally feels like GTA, like San Andreas. in a really good way. A good way. But still, I love all the overhead shots that he gets of LA, especially at night. There's a lot of light coming back up at the camera. Like they're architectural, lights basically that light up those buildings, but you get it from a top down view. It's really, really nice stuff. Like just the B roll of him shooting LA is fabulous. And he got the same stuff in Heat. Like it's just really nice. It gives the edit such a nice pace and flow to be able to cut to stuff like that before you launch into another scene and you're able to pass time without too much effort. It's a really nice film, brother. It's a very nice film. And they drive past
Laura's favorite building in LA, Wedbush. It's her favorite. I don't know what, I think it's just the name, but it's also like, she just loves it. So every time we would drive past it, she'd just be like, Wedbush, Wedbush, Wedbush. And we fly over, there's Wedbush. So you get to drive past it in this movie. And it's glorious. It's the one thing she likes about the movie. Well, I mean, she likes more things about the movie, but I'm sure deep down it's her favorite. But anyways, yeah, he does such a great job of that and of stitching kind of those little beats together, of showing you something and being able to kind of fill it with B-roll. I also like some of the stuff that he chose to do with just Max at the beginning of kind of to build his character, of showing him how meticulous he was with the taxi. But my favorite part is when, you have all the hustle and bustle going on, and then he's done cleaning the taxi and he's ready to go, and he closes the door and just goes quiet. And it's just, you can just kind of see, Max just kind of take that deep breath, and I'm ready for the day kind of a situation. And it's Jamie Foxx does a great job at playing this character.
Foxx is as much a chameleon in this movie to me as Max, as Cruz is as Vincent. They truly disappear into these roles. Mm-hmm. Like most of the movie, I forget I'm watching Jamie Foxx, and I can't always say that. For sure, Ray, I felt that way when he played, but this one, because the funny thing is, physically, Jamie Foxx is every bit as good of an athlete as Tom Cruise is, right? Yeah. Like he is, but you wouldn't know it in this movie. Even the way he gives Max like a really awkward run. Yes, he does. Like, and that's not how Jamie Foxx runs. Like if Jamie Foxx wanted to run, like bolt off, he's going to. You've seen him do it in like Any Given Sunday. Mm-hmm. Like, what kind of athlete he is, but he gives Max like a really awkward, like way of running. He's like not fast. No. And like Vincent's like catching up with him. There's really nice choices there where he isn't just acting like Max. He moves like Max. Mm-hmm. Like there's no athleticism there at all. Like he is legitimately like kind of a nerd. Mm-hmm. And he is, and he kind of stutters. He kind of falls over himself as a people pleaser. Like he really does just fall into this character. And God, I love that scene where they visit his mother. Oh my gosh! Because I told you to stop doing that. Talk like I'm not in the room. What's he saying? He's like, you get your mother some flowers. Oh no, she'll say they're waste of money. Why'd you buy me flowers? I didn't buy any flowers. He did. Oh, you bought these for me? They're beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's there's so much. I mean, again, most of this movie is just the two of them interacting with each other. Like that's the majority of the movie, and in a cab. I mean, obviously there's a couple scenes outside of it, jazz club, the fever, all that kind of stuff, but it's not really an action movie. It's much more closer to like you said, a thriller drama than it is. Yeah. There's moments of action, obviously, but it's a character study, and which is really interesting. Like that is what it is. But when it goes action, it goes hard. Yes. Oh, like it goes hard. So, but there's a scene in the movie. I swear, I can't tell if it was just happenstance or if it was planned. When that coyote runs out in front of the car, mm-hmm. I don't know if I didn't bother to look it up. I don't know if that was planned or if they just were shooting and that thing just ran out and they grabbed it real quick. They hit record and then decided to work it in. But it's such a cool moment. Like it is. I feel like it's staged, not real. But I mean, coyotes are. They were definitely around us in Burbank a lot. So yeah. But it'd be cool if it was just happenstance and just hey, hit record, get that quick. Stranger things have happened. Mm-hmm. So we do need to get into. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. The scene with Felix. With Felix. Oh, this scene is. Every time I watch it, I love it even more, and nothing changes
but it's just so impressive. Again, like obviously this is our introduction to Javier Bardem. I didn't see him anything before, and I didn't even know it was like, so technically speaking, I really knew of Javier Bardem and No Country for Old Men because
Yes.
it wasn't until after No Country that I realized that this was the same guy. And he steals the show. Like
he does.
Just the dialogue is so great and the storytelling is so great. And just the way he plays it with so much disgust and just frustration and anger, but yet it kind of just feels so below the surface, but just how he hits his words and how he kind of attacks Max with it without being angry, without being loud. He just kind of, Javier is fantastic. Just
well, the writing's really good too.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a great example for us to just hammer on. If you're writing a short film or, you know, you're working on your screenplay for independent feature or something, man, you got to have subtext.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the Santa Claus and Black Peter
mm-hmm.
story is just loaded with subtext. It's just an amazing way of that character conveying his disappointment and anger, and the whole scenario played out in this really much more interesting way. How furious do you think he would be?
Yeah.
If he lost the list.
Lost the list. But I do say this for me, this is actually in response. This is actually for me, Max's most courageous moment of the movie. I mean, yes, he obviously goes against Vincent near the end, but he's protecting Annie. But this is the moment kind of he changes and he's like, all right, I'm going to stand up for myself. Is when he makes that moment, he turns around and he basically is just like, he better put that gun away before I,
he doesn't even answer the question, right?
No, he doesn't. He just threatens the guy. And I'm like, holy cow, dude, like you have no weapons, surrounded by bad guys. And you're playing this character, but like, this is not you at all. And
but they don't know that. And he leaned on the reputation that Vincent had supposedly established as this cold-blooded guy. And it worked to perfection. Like,
yeah, just that I love that moment too of kind of Max's change. In addition, it's all in the scene. It's just that it's just great. It's just especially after having just kind of come off the jazz club, and him.
Another incredible scene.
Yes, it's just incredible scene after incredible scene with this movie. There's not a bad scene at all that I can think of from this.
No, there's no false notes.
Mm-mm.
Jada's great.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's really, really good. I love her kind of monologue about how like sick she gets before, or not sick, but like, because she's like, I've got a strong stomach, but she cries like before a case.
Just because
like
I don't throw
all
up.
her whole process is really, really interesting. Yeah, this Stuart Beatty that wrote this is one heck of a script.
Yeah.
Like one heck of a screenplay. I guess he wrote 4 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Wow, that's good. That's awesome. They're still working. But he did some
other stuff. Yeah.
Amazing script, great dialogue, which as we've talked about can easily make or break your movie. Like you can have a great story, but bad dialogue will just make it hard to kind of suffer through your great story. But the great thing is Collateral has a great story and great dialogue, and it shows. It's just, my goodness, like every little bit just feels so well thought out, so well connected, and knows where it's trying to go. And also has the great foreshadowing of the conversations that they've had with, Vincent talking about, hey, I hear about a guy, like right as he gets picked up, I hear about a guy dies on the MTA and rides it for, 8 hours.
6 hours, 8 hours.
Or 6 hours, whatever it is.
Before they notice.
And at the end, so it's just
Comes full circle.
And like, I love that. I mean, it's not, if you're paying attention, you get it. But if you don't, like they call it back and it makes sense. And I also, am like how the wildness of Jamie Foxx's character of shooting is what saves him, while, Vincent's, training doesn't, because he does the typical 2 to the chest, 1 to the head, and that goes into the metal doors, where Max is just kind of like blindly
shooting wildly
and goes through the glass and actually gets him.
That moment where he goes to like do a quick reload,
drops the magazine. Yeah.
It's so well done that the game's up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Vincent immediately knows. He's just like,
yeah,
I do not have long for this world.
No.
If my muscle memory and reflexes are not responding, then there's nothing. Yeah. And of course, I mean, and at that point, Max is no threat, because he walks in with his gun with a slide back. He doesn't have a single round in his gun.
No.
So
it's tricky, man, because even after all of the horrible stuff that Vincent's done, there's this, I don't know if I call it respect, but like there's this acknowledgement of like, man, had you made different choices, like you could have been somebody else. Like, I don't know.
And also that kind of how big of an effect, because it, right before they do kind of the end scene where they go after Jada, basically Tom Cruise, Vincent lets Max have it and says, all it would have taken was you to take a lease out on a Lincoln Town car. Like, you're going to grow old and never have done this and just, get by on daytime TV. And Max has that realization of, I've been saving up and waiting for it to be perfect for 12 years, and no, it's never going to come if I don't make that. And so like, he's changed. I mean, and I wouldn't exactly say it's that, whatever that, you get kidnapped and then you feel for your kidnappers and become whatever. Yeah, it's not so much that, but I think there's, like you said, a level of respect, or a level of, you've changed me, and we've gone through something together. And
it's complicated. It's every bit as complicated a relationship between the protagonist and antagonist as Heat. And I think that's another reason why we love it, because that's what made Heat so different from every other cops and robbers movie ever made, was it blurred the line so much between good, bad, like how different are these people really? This is less true, I think, in this. Like, Vincent and Max are very, very different characters. But yeah, Max really challenges him in the cab before he like wrecks it with those questions, and Vincent has no answer.
No, none whatsoever.
Like, you can see the wheels turning, and Vincent's like, yeah, I've got nothing. I've been in this world too long. I'm too hardened to think that human connections like even of any real value. So no, this is good movies raise like questions that don't necessarily maybe have definitive answers. And this one sits firmly in that category. I look on IMDb and it sits at like a 7.5, and I'm like, this is an 8.0 movie, like all day, every day. This is probably an 8, and I'd probably make Heat an 8.5 or a 9 or something, probably give Heat a 10 if I could, but and I'd probably give
I'm
this
right
like
there with you, buddy.
8.5.
Yeah. This is definitely better than what it's sitting at. It's just, there's just so much. This is, again, I've watched this movie easily a dozen times, and sitting down and watching this again for talking about it. It's not that I was like, okay, I need to sit down and watch this movie so I can talk about it. I could have talked about this without having seen it again. I wanted to watch it again, and I loved it every bit as much as I did the first time I watched it.
Yeah. I will say that passionate fans of Michael Mann, like we are, and it's not that he doesn't miss, he's missed on plenty of stuff, but not unlike Ridley Scott, they feel very similar in that vein to me. But if you're trying to convince somebody to like sit down and watch a Michael Mann picture and you love Heat, I think it's a mistake to like throw them in front of Heat for 3 hours. This is the one that I would say, this is your introduction to Michael Mann.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like it, then I think people would be willing to sit for the 3 hours and change that it takes to navigate Heat, and you're well rewarded. This is right at 2 hours. This movie's lean, it's mean, it's paced extremely well. I think it's a perfect introduction to peak Michael Mann. I mean, it's probably the last really good one he's made so far. I have to be honest. Like I enjoyed Public Enemies, but I have issues with it.
We liked Luck, but you know,
yeah, that's right. He was kind of a producer, director or something on that, but
I will say he mostly produced it. He only directed an episode, but Tokyo Vice was a really good series. I know he produced some and then exec produced a lot of it too. But obviously you can go listen to our episode on Ferrari to see what we thought about Michael Mann's most recent film.
Yeah.
So we're not going to spoil it for you here, but we will spoil it for you.
Luck I enjoyed. And he directed one episode, but he was producer on that. Yeah.
But yeah, I would say this is like peak of, not peak, but like this is like the crest of when it starts to afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, because he did Collateral, then he did Miami Vice, which I enjoy, but it's heavily flawed. And then he did Public Enemies in 2009. So he's not done a whole lot. I mean, he's only made, since 2009, he's only made 3 movies. Yeah. Or no, 2 movies. Black Hat and Ferrari. So he's slowed down. He's got other.
Oh, now he's doing Heat 2.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that.
I'm still going in with bated breath. I will see it, much like I saw Ferrari, but I'm not. My expectations are low. Yeah.
No, mine too. But I mean, the rest of the filmography is like legit. It's not. He's definitely a quality over quantity guy when it comes to directing. Like, it's not that many movies, but
most of them are good and great.
Thief, Manhunter, Last
Insider.
Mohicans, Collateral, Insider. Yeah, Ali is decent. Like, Ali could have been a better movie than it probably was, but we are huge fans of Michael Mann on the pod, and
very big.
He's just, his style is so distinctive, like generally speaking. And that's what aspiring directors have got to do. They've got to embrace what they like. They don't need to be copying a bunch of people. Just need to develop your own aesthetic and like commit to it full, 100%. And he does. It's, I love that his villains like typically don't hesitate to like fire their weapons. Like there's no big speeches and
it's, I mean, I feel like it's an early precursor to what made Taken so interesting as well, is that kind of doesn't need to talk, just action, just quickly, just quick action.
Well, you get that in Ronin too, for the most part. So, you don't
have to worry about it. So, well, my only last thought is just a tip for everybody is that when you're in a club and you're at a VIP table and some guy comes in and starts shooting the place up, get the heck out of Dodge. Don't just sit there with the 2 ladies with your arms around them
that is a huge plot hole. That is a big plot hole. Yeah.
Pointing your guards to go kill the guy. Just get out. Just leave. Yeah. Well, and I can understand like right at the beginning he's not moving because also the FBI are coming in. Like this is weird. Like we don't know what's going on, so I'm just gonna stay put. But at that point, once the FBI people get shot and then like they're in a corner, like get out, just get out. But no, he just sat there. I mean, that must have been really expensive liquor, that he was sitting at. That's probably why. But
bottle service was very high there.
Very high. It's like, I got to finish this before I get home to the wife.
Well, we will wrap up a very nice conversation, fun conversation on
Collateral.
the excellence that is Collateral.
Oh, I love this movie.
Yeah, see this movie again. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it already, and I think it's one that just kind of goes out of sight, out of mind, and it's like you've got to come back to it. It's so worth coming back to every few years at least, and you'll be well rewarded. And the cool thing about, we've mentioned it before, but like I think it bears repeating. Every viewing's different because of what you like bring as your tastes kind of change, or your own life experiences. Like no viewing of a movie for you is the same twice. It's just not, especially if you wait long enough to do it. And this is one that I kind of viewed a little differently this time, not really with the philosophical stuff, but just some of the shots and creative choices he made. I was like, I get it now. Like I didn't get it then. I enjoyed it. I loved it. But it's like now I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, yeah, I think I see more of the intent here with camera choices and stuff like that. So, but we appreciate everybody tuning into this week's little longer episode on Collateral. And we will be back next week with another discussion. And if you've got requests, you know how to get them in to us, on social media and stuff. You can just like direct message us or whatever, or email. I'm not going to put the email out again. Like we've repeated it enough, but
you can, as the kids call, slide into our DMs.
Ew.
And by kids, they're probably adults now that say that.
Yeah.
I don't think the kids even say that anymore.
But we will resume the podcast. That's so gross. We will resume the podcast next week.
Resume the podcast. Go. Stop.
I'm done. That's all I got.
Thanks, everybody.